In the long, long ago, people bartered. They traded things they had for things they wanted. I'll trade you my raspberries for that there pot pie.
I don't want your berries.
Come on, pal. Sweet berries.
They're not sweet. They're old, and I don't like berries.
Give me that pot pie!
No.
As you can see, this bartering situation created some problems. Then one day, a goldsmith walked up and said,
Now, everybody thinks gold is valuable, so why doesn't everybody trade gold for things they need?
a price was set for gold, and now it was very easy to conduct commerce because people could trade gold for all the things they needed.
Hartman! Wow, look at all my gold! Hey, stop them! That's my gold!
Say there, Pile. I've got a vault and some guards. I can keep your gold safe for you for a small fee.
Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome.
You see, Pile, this is how the first bank made money.
There you go, Pile. I owe you 100 gold coins.
Okay, great.
Come back anytime and redeem your gold when you want it. It'll be right here in my vault.
Now you're holding the very first paper money, Pile.
Wow, this is great. It all makes sense.
Oh, that's right. It was good, and everybody started using IOUs because everybody knew the IOU was as good as gold.
There are over 100 elements on the periodic table, and one of them stands out of all. It's used in electronics, architecture, jewelry. But what is it about gold that makes it so precious? On Monday, August 24th, 2015, the Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted nearly 1,100 points, the biggest decline on record in a single trading day. Nearly every time something like this happens, there's someone coming out of the woodwork saying that gold is a better investment. But gold is really just a pretty rock. How did it become so valuable? Most of the gold on Earth comes from meteorites that smacked down onto the surface 200 million years after the Earth formed, and humans have been fascinated with it for millennia. I mean, gold has been used as currency throughout advanced civilization. The earliest use of gold coins dates back to ancient Egypt around 500 BCE. Before coins, there was a system of values based on weights of gold, silver, and copper. Romans, Egyptians, and ancient Indians all used gold as a form of currency, and as modern nations started to adopt paper currency, though, they used gold as a backing for its value. But we've moved away from that. While we don't use it to back our currency anymore, gold is still highly valued. Last I checked, it was about $1,148 per ounce, and it's rarer than you think. The entirety of a year's worth of global gold production can fit inside of your living room. A large amount of gold and silver was just found in reservoirs underneath volcanoes in New Zealand. If mined, it could be worth billions for years to come. So why does this space rock mean so much to us, and how did it become used as currency? Well, there's several theories, and it's got a lot to do with chemistry. Elements like gases and liquids make zero sense in terms of currency. Way too hard to carry around. Alkaline metals and earths, well, try dropping magnesium in water and see what happens. Not so good for our currency. Lead and copper were tried as coinage in some places like ancient China, but they quickly corroded. And lead, well, lead's always been a little toxic, so that's never good. And other precious metals, some are too rare to be of any practical currency. And while some are too difficult to turn into anything, I mean, it takes over 3,000 degrees to melt platinum. So that brings us back to silver and gold. Silver makes for a great currency, durable and rare enough to be desired. And gold, well, it's pretty inert. It's the least reactive of any metal, so it won't corrode when exposed to things like water or oxygen. It won't ever rust or tarnish. So if you made a golden statue and left it sitting in a public square for 1,000 years, it would roughly look the same, where a copper statue would turn green in only a few years. And speaking of a statue, that's another plus in the gold column. It's so easy to manipulate and make stuff out of, whether that's art, jewelry, or coins. And that brings me back to another point. Gold beats out all other metals, even silver, in value because it's pretty. I mean, its chemical symbol is AU from the Latinum aurum, meaning shining dawn. So it lasts for a while, and it's easy to manipulate, and it's pretty. That would be used on pretty much everything aesthetic, like buildings, paintings, sculptures, jewelry. And now you have one of the most precious things to humanity. So why is it valuable? Because it's rare and pretty. The end. So
if you took $1 and walked into a bank a long time ago, you used to be able to get a certain amount of gold for that dollar because a dollar was worth a certain amount of gold. Of course, if you tried that today in the United States, you get laughed out of the bank. And the reason is because a dollar is what's, like most currencies, is what's called a fiat currency or fiat money. So what does that word fiat actually mean? Well, it comes from the Latin, let it be done. So if you're familiar with the phrase royal fiat is when the king or the queen, someone in power, decides that they want to do something. They do something by royal fiat. So the king might say, I want everyone's gold in the entire realm, let it be done. And because he's the king, everybody does it. That's kind of what happened in the United States whenever the government decided to take the gold standard away from the dollar. So it actually decoupled the value of a dollar from the value of gold. And then the government said, this is worth $1's worth of goods and services backed by the United States government. So it's not really worth the paper that's written on, it's only worth what somebody else is prepared to give you in return for that dollar. That's really all it is. So because it's not backed by gold and silver, this is great news for the government, because the government can now go out and crank out as many of these as it needs to fund a war or to bail out a bank or whatever. It's great news. It's actually pretty good news for us as individuals, because it means that now that our currency isn't tied to the value of a commodity like gold or silver, it means it's not going to be quite so volatile as it has been in the past. The bad news, of course, is that if the government prints lots and lots of those dollars, vast amounts of money goes into the system, it means you've got more dollars chasing fewer goods and services, and that can lead to inflation, where the value of your dollar is worth a lot less. And of course, that can also lead to hyperinflation, where the value of your dollar just falls off a cliff because there's just so many dollars chasing so few goods and services. And when that happens, it could leave us very badly needing a drink.